Hey everyone, this is Jeff Risdon from the Detroit Lions podcast and Lions Wire, and we are plowing through these positional previews for training camp. We did tight ends, we did offensive line, today, wide receivers. Let's go. All right. Wide receiver is pretty straightforward at the top. We got an all-pro. His name is Amon Ra St. You've probably heard of him. Earned a massive new contract extension, and yes, he earned it. One of the premier players at his position in the league, and he is the catalyst for the entire passing game. I know the Lions have a lot of other great pieces, starting with Jared Goff with an offensive line, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of the backfield, David Montgomery can catch the ball out of the backfield. But we saw a little bit last summer when Amon Ra doesn't play, the offense doesn't work too well. So he is critically important. There is zero worry about him letting the money get to his head. No worries at all. He should be an all-pro. He should threaten to lead the league in receptions and targets once again. He should threaten double-digit touchdowns, 1,200 yards, maybe a little bit more than that, depending on how much space the opposing defense gives him. But he is a guy, and his ability to play in the slot, but also play outside, motion across the formation, just get open from anywhere, and reliably catch the ball. We are blessed to have Amon Ra St. Brown, and it's a lot of fun to watch him work in practice too. He does not let little mistakes go from himself or his receiver mates. He pushes them, and that's what you want in a leader when he's your highest paid player on your position. Great player, zero worries there. After that, got some changes. Josh Reynolds is gone. Took money to go to Denver, money that wasn't going to be there in Detroit for him, and good for him. Gets a fresh start. Hope it works out for him. He's a good guy. It didn't end too well for him here, but he did a lot of very good things for Detroit, and that should not be forgotten. Replacing him, everything we've seen and heard from the organization is that Jameson Williams will be the number 2 wide receiver on this team. There are a lot of fans who disagree with that take, but I'm going to trust what I've heard from Dan Campbell, from Antoine Randall L., the wide receivers coach, from Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, and even from Brad Holmes when he talked to us at the Combine. JMO is their number 2. If you don't like that, don't take it up with me. Take it up with Brad Holmes. Take it up with Dan Campbell, because they are the people who are believers in JMO. And by the way, I am too. He is expected to emerge a lot more. Dan Campbell talked about it this offseason. Nobody has shown more improvement than Jameson Williams. He's doing a lot of the little things better that we wanted to see. He's much more focused on the details of playing wide receiver. The being where and when you need to be, where and when you need to be. We've seen much better consistency at that with JMO this offseason, throughout the spring workouts, whether it was OTAs or minicamp. It's still not perfect. It probably never will be, but he's doing a whole lot better. Working back to Goff on routes is something that I think he's improved at. There's little subtleties to his game. I think he's getting off the jam a little bit better. I think he's anticipating what the defense is going to do to him a little better. And that's something that I'm not sure that he did a great job of in the past. Hands, they're always going to be an issue. He is not a natural hands catcher. He's going to put some balls on the ground. I will just say we had a fantastic first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver in Detroit for a long time. His name was Calvin Johnson, who led the league in drops during his active career. It's not a deal killer. It doesn't mean that JMO sucks, that there's no hope for him, but he is going to drop some balls. Like that's the cost of doing business with him. But I'm very encouraged by what I've seen from JMO. I'm encouraged by how he's acted when he's not on the field in practices, when his other guys getting reps. He used to just sort of, it wasn't that he wasn't like paying attention or anything, but I don't think that he understood that he wasn't paying close enough attention. He's talking to coaches more. He's talking to his teammates more than he used to. He's certainly bought in as much as you could possibly ask for Jameson Williams to be bought in, and that's a very good thing. I love his ability to stretch the field. They ran some concepts where he's coming across the field more and using his speed to pull away from defensive backs, but also to create voids behind him where Amon Ra can work, where Sam Laporta can work, where the guys on the backfield can get some open looks, where tight end Brock Wright can leak out on the backside, as we've seen. He did that last year. Done that twice, actually. That's a lot of what J-Mo does impacts the other guys positively, even if Jameson isn't having his best game. And I think he is more mentally prepared for that this year than he has been in the past. He's coming in healthy, doesn't have any suspension lingering over him, doesn't have any... I'm very excited for Jameson Williams, and I have very little doubt that he will make a very good number 2 wide receiver with Amon Ra being the number 1. Going down the pecking order now, though, now you're getting the number 3 receiver. And I will say this, and remember this as you're processing, when you're in fantasy drafts or whatever. The number 3 wide receiver on the Lions offense will probably be the number 5 receiver overall. Laporta is going to get more looks. And I'm going to guess that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get more targets than the number 3 wide receiver on this team. It's just sort of the way it's going to work. And, Khalif Raymond, I know people are like, I don't know, man. It's a question mark. That's fair. Guy has done nothing but prove himself since he's been in Detroit. Sort of a afterthought type of receiver. He's emerged as a viable deep threat. He's undersized. He is short, not small. He is probably pound for pound the strongest Detroit Lion. And anybody who's ever gone against him in press drills will tell you that's an accurate statement. Really solid player. Is he a guy that defenses are going to worry about? Probably not. That's not really what they do. But he's going to catch the ball when it's thrown to him. He presents himself as a bigger target than what he is for his 5'8" frame, I want to say is what his height is. Jared Goff trusts him. Ben Johnson trusts him. Antoine Randall trusts him. Good enough for me. I'm good with Leaf starting out as the 3rd receiver. Then you get into the number 4, and this is where a lot of the questions come in. And I understand the trepidation here. Right now, entering camp, the number 4 it is Donovan Peoples-Jones, who was with Detroit last year. You might remember Michigan receiver. I covered his early career in Cleveland. He actually had a season there where he had come very close to 1,000 yards. Was a very productive 2nd/3rd banana there to Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham before OBJ got hurt, which always happens to OBJ. That's what he does. DPJ is a big target. He has definitely worked on the weight room. He does not skip arm day or chest day or shoulder deltoid lats day. He's a big dude. He's a very smart guy, and has shown himself to be a reliable depth piece. Can he integrate himself a little bit more into Detroit's offense in his second go around with the team? Yeah, absolutely. This is an important offseason for him, because if he doesn't really seize that number 4 job or threaten number 3, if he's more down by number 5, number 6, probably going to be a tough time for him to ever climb out of that. This is a great opportunity for him. I expect him to seize it, but I also don't have an issue with the Lions having more insurance in case it doesn't work, because I've seen DPJ at his best, and I've seen him sort of at his worst. And the guy who's the best is an asset for this team. By the way, his downfield blocking and blocking on special teams is something that gives him an advantage here too. And I didn't mention it with Leaf, but it needs to come up. He is the punt returner, and there's a chance that he will also be the kick returner, although I think we're going to get to another guy who's going to threaten both those statuses here in a sec. Let's move on to Antoine Green, last year's 7th round pick. Had some drop issues, had some route running issues. specifically at getting around physical coverage, which is weird because he's a big guy. You would expect him to be able to do that. That's not really what he did at North Carolina, though, in college. He needs to step up a little bit. I'm not going to say that his roster spot is in peril, but he needs to earn it this year. He's not going to be given a spot just because he was drafted by this team, because they have some guys that can push him. They have a weird amount of depth receivers, like 4 through 7 wide receivers. There's a lot of these guys. DPJ is one. Antoine Green is one. Let's see what he can do. He did some heavy slot work as a big slot at his size. Work in progress, as you expect. That's what the offseason's for. You don't expect him to come in and be lights out right away. It's more chances for him to get on the field more and show what he can do. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. He's certainly worthy of keeping if he earns it. And I like his size, I like his tenacity, and I like his athletic upside. He's a guy that definitely fits the grit too, and that's something that he's definitely got in his favor. Let's get to Isaiah Williams, because he's probably next. I don't know. Traquan Smith, Isaiah Williams, all these rest of these guys I'm talking about, Tom Kennedy, Maurice Alexander, Doris Fountain, that have realistic chances of making it, are all sort of looking for a niche to fill. And Isaiah Williams, as an undrafted free agent rookie from Illinois that they paid a lot of money to, I want to say it was $240,000. Well, it's in that ballpark. They gave him a lot of money. It's commensurate with him being a draft pick, basically. He is not super fast, although he's not as slow as what his 40 time is. I know there's a lot of people out there like, oh, he's run 4.65. Well, yeah, he was hurt. Terry Arnold was also hurt when he ran his 40. You can't get wedded to these 40 times, guys. The Lions don't. They don't care. They watch film. They watch play speed. And Isaiah Williams certainly has that. Now he's going to get caught from behind. He's not elite speed. That's JMO. That's what he does. Leaf has really great speed too. DPJ actually has pretty good speed. Williams is not that good. Where he's good, body control, physicality, balance, in and out of cuts quickly, promptly, succinctly, when and where he needs to be. That's what he did at Illinois. This is a guy who used to be quarterback, so he understands. He sees the field a little bit differently than a lot of the other wideouts do, because he's been the guy that's like, oh, I see the defense. And you can see that when you watch Isaiah Williams play. It was obvious even in the rookie minicamp. Like, this guy is just seeing things a little bit faster and better than everybody else that was there. So he's got a real shot, but again, his biggest shot is special teams. He is electric as a return man, both a kick returner and a punt returner. He proved it at Illinois. I suspect he will prove it again, and he will make my prediction as of today. It's the second week of July, so we got a couple weeks till training camp, and certainly open to being proven wrong here. But I think he will be the team's kick returner. And that will also make him the backup slot receiver who can be active on game days, because they don't really have a backup slot for Amon Ra. If Amon Ra were to go down, they would have to alter their offense, because Tom Kennedy, Maurice Alexander cannot do out of the slot the variety and skillful things that they ask Amon Ra to do in the offense that is necessitated in having a good slot receiver. Tom Kennedy, we know what he is. Camp darling, works hard, former lacrosse player. We all know the story. Good special teams player, good try-hard guy, good blocker, very physical, will not get outworked. He does have a decent catch radius for his height. Doesn't always catch everything, but he's pretty close to it. Very good at turning from receiver to runner. There's a lot to like about him, but I think we've seen him at his best, and his best is being the last wide receiver on the team. And I don't know if that's going to be good enough this year for Tom Kennedy, or if he'll wind up back on the practice squad again, or if he'll want to just say, you know what, I've given up my go in Detroit, and I'm going to try to catch on at a place where there isn't as much wide receiver depth where I can get on the field a little bit more, or maybe be their return man. And I wouldn't fault Tom Kennedy for that one bit. Then I would wish him well. Maurice Alexander is another smaller slot guy. He's faster than Amon Ra. Amon Ra, by the way, is not super fast either. Pretty darn good receiver, all pro, incredible talent. Speed isn't everything, folks. Don't get caught up on that. Mo is fast, and Mo is also a return option. And Mo catches the ball very well. Mo also throws the ball very well. He didn't hear that from me, though. Former, it was either XFL or USFL. It's now the UFL. They've merged. Guy has some talent. He's been around long enough that he knows the drill, and I expect that he will push for a spot. But right now, I think he and Tom Kennedy are probably both on the outside looking in at that number 2 slot receiver, and that role is necessitates being very active on special teams. And I think Isaiah Williams is going to take that job. It's certainly not won yet, but that would be my expectation. Then you're looking Doris Fountain. Doris Fountain was the second best wide receiver at minicamp after Amon Ra. He was better than JMO. He was better than Leaf. Guy played hard. Big guy. Heavy slot. A lot of experience playing in the slot. He's got some NFL experience. Not a lot. He's kind of bounced around a little bit. Fast off the line. Catches the ball in stride extremely well. That's important in this offense. You can't be somebody who catches it and has to gather and then go. Fountain catches it at full stride and keeps going. Really good at that. He does that better than DPJ. Can he threaten Donovan Peoples-Jones' job? Maybe. He can threaten Antoine Green's job. Maybe. If given a fair shot, it's going to be a very interesting decision to make. And those preseason games that we get all hyped up for, and then, halfway through, we're like, well, no, we don't know who these guys are. Well, pay attention, because that's where these jobs are going to be won, all these depth receiver spots. And I suspect that Fountain is another guy like Tom Kennedy, where if he doesn't make the roster, he might see the writing on the wall and say, you know what, I've given it a shot a couple times here in Detroit. It's not good. I'm never going to be above where I'm at, and I might try to go somewhere else. Again, that's just my speculation on that. Don't know that. But he's got a shot too. And that battle royale for those last 2 spots on that roster, special teams matters. You're going to hear that a lot in this series of videos. You've already heard that a lot. If you can't contribute positively on special teams, you cannot be a depth player on these Detroit Lions, period. So if you see Antoine Green not make it this year, and that's possible, might not have anything to do with the fact that he's playing wide receiver. It would have to deal with special teams. If by some chance Donovan Peoples-Jones doesn't make it, probably special teams related more than receiving related. And keep that in mind as you're looking at the bottom of the roster. The final 6 to 8 spots on this roster are going to be decided by special teams. Dave Phipp told us that. Dan Gamble told us that. Again, take them at their word. They've not lied to us in the past. They've earned that respect. So respect their decisions on that. A couple other guys that are in camp. Let me look at the roster here. I know one of them is Jalen Calhoun. He's a undrafted rookie. Little on the undersized side, but catches the ball very well. I would like to see him make the practice squad as a fresher face on it, rather than, and I'll interject my editorial content here. I would rather see him make it than Tom Kennedy. As I said with Tom Kennedy and with Doris Fountain, we know what they've got. We know what their top end is. Maybe this guy could grow into something more than that. Might be true with Traquan Smith too, but Traquan Smith is an interesting one because he's a guy that I thought when they signed him, I don't think we as Lions media or fans really paid enough attention to it at the time. Now that I've seen him play, now that I've seen him go through a couple, really 4, that was at 5, 6 practices this spring. A little bit more understandable why the Saints let him go, why Saints fans weren't too upset about letting him go. This is a guy who did start quite a few games when Michael Thomas first got hurt, or second got hurt, or third. I don't know, dude's always hurt. Traquan Smith was his fill-in 1 year and did pretty well, enough that I actually picked him up on my fantasy team. That's not going to be happening again. I don't think it's going to work for Traquan. He's going to have to show a lot more in training camp than he has thus far. But that's where we're at with the wide receivers. Thanks for tuning in. Keep hitting that like button and the subscribe button so you know when more of these videos are going to come out and I can get into your ear holes automatically. And with that, this is Jeff Risdon with the Detroit Lions podcast signing out. Thanks for watching.